Okay, good afternoon guys. Welcome back to another episode. This is only going to be a short little episode, and this is going to be about showing you what I'm doing currently in my garden. So I'm clearing raised beds because it's getting to the end of the growing season. Well, I say it's getting to the end of the growing season. There are still lots of things you can sow now if you get them ready now. Sow them for an autumn harvest stroke spring, kind of early spring harvest, and it's a lot of crops that you can sow now and still have those wonderful sort of veggies, come salady type bits and pieces still coming in to your kitchen. If you want to find out more about things you can sow now, then there are a few channels that I follow on YouTube. One of them is called Grow Veg. The guy who presents that channel is a guy called Ben Van Veen. He's also in the Kitchen Garden magazine, so I would check him out. His videos are very constructive, they're very helpful, give you lots of tips and hints and help around either your allotment or your garden. Somebody else that I would follow is a guy called Charles Dowding. He is the foremost expert in no dig, so definitely check out his channel and follow him. But there are lots of other people you can follow, but in this video it's basically going to be showing you what I'm clearing and what I'm going to be doing next, and preparing to go in certain beds that have or are being cleared. And I'll show you a little thing that I've made to go into the greenhouse onto my potting table. So there's lots to show you, lots to be getting on with, and I'll come back to you guys in a minute. Okay, so I'm showing you the raised bed that had my Carolina Reapers and my Dorset Naga chilies in. I've harvested the last of those now. I've pulled them up and thrown them into compost bags. I'm going to be putting a layer of compost into that raised bed, and I've got some red kale that's going to be going in there, and possibly some last bits of salad that I sowed and is ready to go out. So that's one raised bed that has been cleared. The raised bed next to it, I'm slowly going through it, but it is a case of, if things are still kind of growing, whether they'll grow anymore. If not, clear them, clear the raised bed, get it ready for next year. The raised bed in front there that you can see, which hasn't, that I've removed the netting on, we've been clearing that raised bed. Sorry about the jumpy camera there. We've cleared that raised bed, or almost cleared it, and we will bed that down ready for next year for the growing season. But that may be one of the raised beds, once I've got some more sown, that may take broad beans and possibly garlic. So this year, because obviously I'm sowing in my garden and not down my allotment, this year I'm only going to be doing 2 varieties of garlic, maybe only one, but it's going to be about, I would say, about 2 varieties of garlic. I will still stick to sowing the amount I do for broad beans, because they are a good crop to have, an early crop to have. So if you start to sow, say now October time, I would say from October time through to December, you can have a wonderful spring crop of broad beans. which will be ready around about May, June time. But there are varieties you can also sow if you don't want to sow from October to December. Varieties you can sow next year and you'll get an autumn harvest. So I'll show you the other raised bed that I'm going to be planting stuff in, and I'll get cracking on, and then I'll come back to you with more content. Okay, to the left of me you see the raised bed that had the sweet corn in. That is a plastic clip together raised bed, so I can take it apart and move it anywhere I like. And then the raised bed to the right of it, which is up against the greenhouse, is the raised bed that I built a few days ago, and I've got the topper to go with it. I've got a variety of broad beans that are going to be going in there, and as I showed you up the top there, the kale will go up in the raised bed up the top on the petter. But yeah, broad beans are going to go in here, and to stop any flying insects that I don't want to get to them, the cover netting will go over, which is just here, as you can see. So that will go over once the broad beans are out. So I'll get cracking on with putting the rest of the bits out and come back to you guys in a bit. Right guys, a little something extra I've been doing this afternoon. As I told you, that raised bed there is going to take my kale, the purple kale that you can see, but I decided I was going to put a cover over it. So I've made two little kind of nettings that are going to go over them. I made them out of the wood, same as I've done with the big one round the corner, or the two big ones round the corner. I thought I'd make two little mini ones. I've measured them out and they do fit on there nicely. There is a gap in the middle, but I've got something that can go in the middle of that doesn't need netting. Yeah, I thought I'd make a little summit, obviously using those two. I've found some more white netting in a green trough that I've got in my front garden at the moment that hasn't been able to come into the back garden. But yeah, really happy. And then I've got something that I'm going to be doing with this piece of wood here, but I'll explain all about that in another video. But yeah, there we go guys, and I'll show you the rest in a bit. Right guys, I've put my curly kale in, and this time I'm trialing out some copper mesh. So the kale that I've planted is a variety called Red Monarch. I've put one of the netting barriers over that I've made. The other one went slightly wrong, so I'm having to rejig that. I'm in the process of doing that now. But I bought some copper mesh, or copper wire. I've cut it and then I've made it into little round circles. I'm going to see if that helps as well to stop any slugs or snails or anything I don't want getting. But yeah, this is a beautiful variety of kale, and as I've said, the variety is Red Monarch. I've got the other netting to go over, but that will then be this raised bed sorted.